The 1987 Constitution. The 1987 Philippine Constitution. Preamble. We, the sovereign Filipino people, imploring the aid of the Almighty God in order to build a just and humane society and establish a government that shall embody our ideals and aspirations, promote the common good, conserve and develop our patrimony, and secure to ourselves and our posterity the blessings of independence and democracy under the rule of law and a regime of truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, and peace, to ordain and promulgate this Constitution. Purpose of the 1987 Constitution. Its goal is to secure the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of the national territory. The 1987 Constitution. So Aquino began her term by repealing many of the Marcos-era regulations that had repressed the people for so long. In March, she issued a unilateral proclamation establishing a professional constitution. This constitution gave the president broad powers and great authority, but Aquino promised to use them only to restore the democracy under a new constitution. This new constitution was drafted in 133 days by an appointed Constitutional Commission of 48 members and ratified by the people in a plebiscite held on February 2, 1987. It was largely modeled on the American Constitution, which had so greatly influenced the 1935 Constitution, but it is also incorporated Roman, Spanish, and Anglo law. The 1987 Constitution established a representative democracy with power divided among three separate and independent branches of government: the executive, a bicameral legislature, and the judiciary. There were three independent constitutional commissions as well: the Commission on Audit, the Civil Service Commission, and the Commission on Election. Integrated into the Constitution was a full Bill of Rights, which guaranteed fundamental civil and the political rights, and it provided for free, fair, and periodic elections. In comparison with the weak document that had given Marcos a legal fiction behind which to hide, this constitution seemed ideal to many Filipinos emerging from the 20 years of political repression and oppression.
Executive Branch. The executive branch is headed by the President and his appointed cabinet. The President is the head of the state and the chief executive, but he is subject to significant checks from the other branches, especially in times of emergency, which the given history of the country was obviously intended to be a safeguard against a repeat of Marcos's martial law despotism. For example, in cases of national emergency, the President can still declare martial law, but not for a period longer than 60 days. Congress can revoke this decision by a majority vote, or it can also extend for a period to be determined by the Congress. Additionally, the Supreme Court can review the declaration to decide if there were sufficient facts to justify martial law. The President can grant pardons and amnesty. He is also empowered to make or accept foreign loans. He cannot, however, enter into treaties without the consent of the Senate. The President and the Vice President are elected at large by a direct vote, but the President may only serve one 6-year term. The Cabinet, consisting of the President's advisors and the heads of department, is appointed by the President and assists him in his governance functions.
Legislative Branch. The legislative power is vested in a Congress which is divided into two houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives. The 24 members of the Senate are elected at large by a popular vote and can serve no more than 2 consecutive 6-year terms. The House is composed of 250 elected members. Most of these representatives are elected by district for 3-year terms, but 20% of the most membership is chosen in proportion to party representation, besides the exclusive power to legislate. One of the most important powers of Congress is the ability to declare war, which it can through a 2/3 vote in both houses. Even the power to legislate, however, is subject to an executive check. The President retains the power to veto a bill passed by both houses, and Congress may override this veto only with a 2/3 vote in both houses.
Judicial branch. The court system in the Philippines exercises the judicial power of government, and it is made up of a Supreme Court and lower courts created by law. The Supreme Court is a 15-member court appointed by the President without need for confirmation by Congress. Appointment, however, is limited to a list of nominees presented to the President by a constitutional specified judicial and bar council. This council consists of 7 members: the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the Secretary of Justice, a representative from Congress, a representative of the integrated bar, a professional law, a retired member of the Supreme Court, and representative of the private sector. The first 4 served for years, the law professor for 3, the retired justice for 2, and the private sector representative for 1 year. The Supreme Court justices may hear on appeal any cases dealing with the constitutionality of any law, treaty, or decree of the government, cases where question of the jurisdiction or judicial error are the concern, or cases where the penalty is sufficiently grave. It may also exercise original jurisdiction over cases involving government or international officials. The Supreme Court also is charged with overseeing the functioning and administration of the lower courts and their personnel.
Article 1. National Territory. The national territory comprises the Philippines archipelago, with all the islands and waters embraced therein, and all territories over which the Philippines has sovereignty or jurisdiction, consisting of its terrestrial, fluvial, and aerial domains, including its territorial sea, the seabed, the subsoil, the insular shelves, and other submarine areas. The waters around, between, and connecting the islands of the archipelago, regardless of their breadth and dimension, form part of the internal waters of the Philippines. Article 2. Declaration of Principles and State Policies. Article 2 lays out the basic social and political creed of the Philippines, particularly the implementation of the Constitution, and sets for the objectives of the government.
Article 3, Bill of Rights. Article 3 enumerates specific protections against the abuse of state power, most of which are similar to the provisions of the U.S. Constitution of public concern. Article 4, Citizenship. Article 4 defines the citizenship of Filipinos. It enumerates 2 kinds of citizens: natural-born citizens and naturalized citizens. Natural-born citizens are those who are citizens from birth, without having to perform any act to acquire or perfect Philippine citizenship. The Philippines follow a jus sanguinis, where citizenship is mainly acquired through a blood relationship with Filipino citizens. Natural-born citizenship forms an important part of the political system, as only natural-born Filipinos are eligible to hold high offices. including all elective offices, beginning with a representative in the House of Representatives up to the President.
Article 5 Suffrage. Article 5 mandates various age and residence qualifications to vote and a system of secret ballots and absentee voting. It also mandates a procedures for overseas and disabled and illiterate Filipinos to vote. Article 6. The Legislative Department. Article 6 provides for a bicameral legislature called the Congress, composed of the Senate and the House of Representatives. It based upon Congress, among others, the power of investigation and inquiry in aid of legislation, the power to declare the existence of a state of war, the power of the purse, the power of taxation, and the power of eminent domain.
Article 7, the Executive Department. Article 7 provides for a presidential form of government where the executive power is vested on the President. It provides for the qualification terms of office, election, and power and function of the President. It also provides for Vice President and for the presidential line of succession. Article 8, the Judicial Department. Article 8 based the judicial power upon the Supreme Court and other lower courts as may be established by law or by Congress. While the power to appoint justices and judges still reside with the President, may only appoint nominees pre-selected by the Judicial and Bar Council, a body composed of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the Secretary of Justice, the chairs of the Senate and House Committees on Justice, and representatives from the legal profession.
Article 9. Constitutional Commissions. Article 9 established three constitutional commissions: the Civil Service Commission, the Commission on Election, and the Commission on Audit. Article 10. Local Government. Article 10 proceeds for local autonomy and mandates Congress to enact a law for the local government, now currently the Local Government Code.
Article 11. Accountability of the public officers. Section 1. Public office is a public trust. Public officers and employees must, all the times, be accountable to the people, serve them with utmost responsibility, integrity, loyalty, and efficiency, act with patriotism and justice, and lead modest lives. Article 12. National Economy and Patrimony. Section 1. The goals of the national economy are more equitable distribution of opportunities, income and wealth, a sustained increase in the amount of goods and services produced by the nation for the benefit of the people, and expanding productivity as the key to the raising quality of life for all, especially the underprivileged.
Article 13, Social Justice and Human Rights, Section 1. The Congress shall give highest priority to the enactment of measures that protect and enhance the right of all the people to human dignity, reduce social, economic, and political inequalities, and remove cultural inequities by equitably diffusing wealth and political power for the common good. To this end, the state shall regulate the acquisition, ownership, use, and disposition and its increments.
Article 14. Education, Science and Technology, Arts, Culture and Sports. Section 1. The state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels and shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all.
Article 15, the Family. Section 1. The state recognizes the Filipino family as the foundation of the nation Accordingly, it shall strengthen its solidarity and actively promotes its total development.
Article 16, General Provisions. The flag of the Philippines shall be red, white, and blue, with a sun and 3 stars, as consecrated and honored by the people and recognized by the law.
Article 17. Amendments and Revisions. Section 1. Any amendments to or revision of this Constitution may be proposed by number 1. The Congress upon a vote of 3/4 of all its members, or number 2. A Constitutional Convention. Article 18. Transitory Provisions. Section 1. The first elections of the member of the Congress under this Constitution shall be held on the second Monday of May 1987. The first local elections shall be held on a date to be determined by the President, which may be simultaneous with the election of the members of the Congress. It shall include the elections of all members of the city or municipal councils in the metropolitan Manila area.